Welcome to Coffee Break with Rachel Vigil, taking a daily look at the biggest stories in Denver sports and interacting live with you, the Coffee Break fam. So sit back, relax, grab a cup of joe, and enjoy your coffee break. Here's your host, Rachel Vigil.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Thursday. Thank goodness it's Thursday. Actually, really fun story for you guys as I was driving into work today. There's like an elk herd essentially that lives close to it. And it was so beautiful because they were trying to cross the road. And I'm not kidding you guys, probably over like 100, maybe 150 elk are all like on the side of the highway getting ready to cross. And everybody is just like sitting and staring at them. But it was so beautiful out this morning with a little bit of snow dusting. Plenty of good stuff to get into about the Denver Broncos. Of course, we're also going to be talking about an emotional night for Eric Johnson and the Colorado Avalanche. Seriously, so many stat lines coming out of that game too. So plenty to get into. But first, let's talk about some injury updates for the Denver Broncos. So Quinn Meinerz, obviously it was kind of a weird thing last Sunday during the Chargers game because we hear that he's leaving with an illness. And so we're all like, oh, maybe he's got a stomach bug, maybe he's got the flu, something else is going on. Then we end up learning more information that he's dealing with an irregular heartbeat. So then we're all like, okay, this is a little bit more serious. He ends up going and spending the night in a Los Angeles hospital. And we're like, all right, is he going to be able to play this week against the Detroit Lions? What's going on? He does say that he is on his way back to normal, which is good. And he spoke to the media yesterday. And our very own Andrew Mason had an opportunity to hear from him. So let's take a listen.
Tell us how you're feeling and what happened last game.
Yeah, I'm feeling good. I think enough of the internet world saw some of the information. I'm going to keep that kind of private. I just want to say thank you to the people of SoFi and our athletic training staff for, acting as quickly as they did and getting me to the hospital and getting me into a stable condition. And yeah, I'm glad to be, back here and everything being fine.
How nerve-wracking was it?
Yeah, obviously when your heart's not working right, it's a little nerve-wracking.
Which hospital did you go to and how far away from the stadium?
I went to the UCLA Harbor.
Which one? What?
Harbor, UCLA.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Did they take you by, ambulance? Was a siren blaring or anything like that? Or?
Yeah, they treated me as if it was a serious situation.
When you report something like that to the training staff, did anything about it surprise you? Did you know what was going to happen next once you said?
Yeah, I had an anticipation. I'm pretty aware of, what may or may not happen. And so when I, kind of told the staff what I thought was going on, they acted as if.
How soon were you feeling back to normal?
On my way.
Yeah.
Are you expecting to play on Saturday?
Yeah, I'm a full participant in practice today, so everything should be good.
So while you were in the ambulance, you started back to normal?
Yep, things were getting better, yeah.
Oh, good.
Time for a few more guys.
Were you still able to keep up with the game, or is that kind of pretty far from you?
Oh, no, I was definitely keeping up with the game. It was cool to see that play, the court scoring that touchdown with one hand, and then obviously the cool play that Troutman scored on as well.
From the film, how do you think Luke did filling in for you?
Luke did great. He's been a great, practice player. He's been doing a great job, ever since he came here last year. And I think he's really grown and developed as a player in the system.
Had you ever had last question, Parker? Anything similar to this in the past, or was it
Nope, completely new.
Thank you, guys.
Cool. Thank you.
First of all, I love Quinn because talking about himself, he's super short and I don't really want to say anything. And then you get him talking about Luke or Court and he just lights up and you can tell that he loves it. First of all, I also love that he was paying attention to the game. That obviously just shows such leadership qualities out of him to be like, no, of course I had to continue to pay attention. But I'm happy to hear that he will be going on Saturday Saturday, you guys. It's a Saturday game. It's going to be crazy. And then the other name that absolutely rocked everybody's world that could possibly be returning is Greg Dulcich. So, of course, we can go through the injuries when it comes to him. He was a 2022 third-round pick. He's gone through plenty of hamstring injuries in his day, and he's only played in 2 games so far this season. It's been a tough go-around for Greg Dulcich. And he's back at practice, which is good news. And now it opens up this 21-day, practice window, essentially, coming off of IR. This is great news. everybody has talked so highly about Dulcich and what he can do for this Denver Broncos team. And I always feel a little bit guilty coming out and saying for anybody that deals with injury to call him a bust. But I think a lot of people could say, hey, with how high the expectations were for Greg Dulcich, it appears that he's been a bust because we haven't been able to see any of those things. And of course, so we go even just into this season. Week 1, he gets a hamstring injury and gets the Raiders, and he originally goes on IR, and we're like, all right, here we go again with Greg Dulcich, what is. Then he returns against the Chiefs in week 6. And then again, he goes back on IR because he has that hamstring injury. I think he played 1/2 against the Chiefs before going back onto it. So you're like, well, crap. Here we go, Greg Dulcich. But now a lot of people have been talking very highly about like how the training has been going, how the rehab's been going, how he's looking out there in practice. So you're hopeful because I would love to see Greg Dulcich. I think that's what the Broncos are missing too. Kind of one of those guys that can get open in the middle of the field who's got that height, but also that bulkiness. Like they need somebody like that. And so I really am hopeful that he'll be able to come back out. You guys, his poor career, I do feel for him a little bit. He's missed 18 games due to hamstring injuries, and he's only played in 12. Like he has definitely struggled when it comes to these injuries. And hamstring injury is one of those things too, where you can tweak it even just a little bit and you're like, oh crap, here we go again. Last season, he dealt with it too. But of course, we're excited to see. Sean Payton says we'll see if he can play against the Lions. That doesn't leave me feeling very hopeful. But of course, you never know what can happen in the next coming games. More coming out of practice, of course, today. Now, some of the other stuff that's not so good news. PJ Locke and Nick Bonito both did not practice yesterday. This is going to be a huge bummer. They both suffered injuries against the Chargers last Sunday. Locke had a neck injury, and I actually didn't know this, but Andrew Mason, writing a wonderful article over denversports.com, apparently he could barely speak in the locker room. It was just like a whisper that he could talk in the locker room after the game on Sunday. So I didn't know that. I'm like, oh, that makes it seem a little bit more serious. And of course, you're always being careful when it comes to a neck injury. And then Nick Bonito with that knee injury too, we're always going to be paying attention to that. I'll be interested to see if either one of them are able to go. And honestly, I think even the bigger one is if Locke can't play, Delarian Turner-Yell will most likely start. And the defense has definitely struggled when Turner-Yell has been on the field this season. So I'm like, okay, hopefully PJ Locke is able to go. I would be surprised if Nick Bonito is able to with the knee injury, but again, a neck injury for PJ Locke isn't good either. So, of course, stay up to date. denversports.com will give you guys all the information when it comes to that and kind of the availability of if they're out there at practice at all today as well. So plenty of interesting things to pay attention to this week against the Lions. A few other things too is we've all talked about Russell Wilson and Sierra having their baby girl. Well, Ben Powers and his wife also had a baby this week. So congratulations to them. Broncos country just seems to be blooming with lots of new babies right now. So again, congratulations. Also, I want to touch on this just a little bit. So Russell Wilson had the quote yesterday about essentially if Sierra had gone into labor during the game, before the game, whatever, he says, I would have gone to the game. We have winning to do. I'm sorry, and I don't know if this is just going to be me or if other people feel this way as well. But regardless of where you are in the season, I think the birth of your child should be more important than the game or the season of that phase of life. And so I know he was just trying to be all gung-ho, like Broncos country, we're in this together. We're really trying to strive to make the playoffs. But it just didn't sit right with me. I was kind of like, Russ, I want you to, I'm glad that he was able to be there for the birth of their child. That's super important. But it just didn't sit right with me that he was like, football, I'm choosing that over my daughter. I don't know. I didn't love that quote from him. It kind of was just, I don't know. It frustrated me a little bit when I was reading that. And I'm curious. I saw a few other people that were like, oh, clearly he's not a family man then if football is more important. And I feel like it can go 50-50. So let me know in the comments how you felt about that quote. Because again, it just didn't sit right with me. But Russell Wilson did rush to the hospital in Los Angeles after the game on Sunday to watch his daughter be born. So I'm happy that he was able to be there. I'm happy that they got the win. But again, it just didn't sit totally right with me. So I'm curious how you guys are all feeling when it comes to that. Now, looking ahead, Sean Payton understands how dynamic this Lions offense can be. You guys, I said yesterday, talking with Mike Evans on the show, what was going to be one of the keys, and it's going to be affecting the quarterback. Sean Payton comes out and says, you got to be able to affect the quarterback and create longer third downs, which I love this game plan. I hope I even tweeted out last night. I can't wait to see what VJ is able to kind of, mock up and create for this Saturday. I think it's going to be really interesting. And there's a ton of like amp about this game. I don't think a lot of people have realized it. I didn't even until I saw a lot of like the mainstream TV shows this morning being able and talking about this game because the Broncos are so hot right now. And again, the Broncos have the number one third down defense in the NFL since week 6. They've turned this thing around and it has been crazy fun to watch. But you got to be able to sack the quarterback. And again, the Broncos, they've been able to put pressure on quarterbacks like no other. Can they do it to Jared Goff? You sure hope so. So that's going to be one of those things that I'm going to be paying attention to too, is to see how they're able to provide the pressure on Jared Goff. Now, here's one of the things. PJ Locke, dude has been incredible with providing pressure, and you typically don't see that for somebody like him. Like, that's not technically his, dynamic. Like, that's not where he usually is, but the way they've been structuring this defense, it's been fascinating to see that he's had sacks on quarterbacks. And you're like, wait a second, where is this coming from? If he's not out there, what's it going to look like with Delarian Turner-Yell? I'm not exactly sure, but it's something I'm going to be paying attention to for sure. And again, the defense, you guys, if the Broncos defense can produce turnovers, I think that they continue to win out. That's going to be the key. We didn't see that in the Houston game. They came close a few times, but they just couldn't pull it in. If they can produce turnovers, I think no matter what, that they're going to be able to win the games. And that's crazy to think about. It's going back to that Super Bowl defense, right? We were all talking about it yesterday here with Mike Evans. It comes down to that. And I think the defense is going to be able to be the key for this team to continue winning games and win out the last 4. Win out. I have a friend that's coming out here in January and they're wanting to go skiing and snowboarding. And I'm like, yeah, possibly, but I don't know what the Broncos playoff schedule is going to look like. And that's crazy to think about. When we originally first started planning this trip, it was like, oh yeah, the Broncos won't be playing in January. There's no way. The turnaround that this has happened, I'm like, I don't know what my schedule is going to look like come the end of January. And that's a blessing for me because obviously I love being able to talk football. I love being able to talk the Broncos, but I just don't know. So I'm like, I can't really commit until I see, because I think that even if they did play in the wild card, there's a chance that they could absolutely play the next weekend. Like, that's crazy. They could play in the divisional round. That's crazy to think about with this team, but I think it's going to come down to turnovers. Can the Broncos defense continue to create turnovers? They have generated 18 sacks in the last 3 games. 18 sacks. It ranks first in the NFL during that period. Jared Goff has been sacked 25 times in 13 games. The Broncos have to be able to get to Jared Goff and be able to provide that pressure. And again, it comes back to Sean Payton going to say, you got to create longer third downs. You got to be able to create those. Well, what happens if you're able to sack a quarterback? A lot of the times you're going to have those longer third downs. So that's what you're looking for right there. Also, it's been interesting because the Detroit Lions and the Denver Broncos kind of have a lot of similarities when it comes to their play. Essentially, they're kind of this 50-50 team too, with pass versus rush. And I do find it a little, I don't know. I think we're going to see a lot of similarities as we're watching the game come Saturday night when we're watching this team too. And Mike Schlereth has talked about it. A lot of people on 104.3 The Fan have talked about it. Is Detroit's kind of in this like struggling mode right now. They're trying to like catch a breath of fresh air and be able to get back to it. So again, it's going to be this week for the Lions is almost what it was like for the Broncos last week against the Chargers, where you're like, okay, we got to get back on schedule. We have to be able to make a push for the playoffs right now. So they're coming up and they're going to be ready to essentially look for blood, you guys. So I think it's going to be a really interesting game. And again, you just look at what the Denver defense did last week. 6 sacks, you guys, 9 QB hurries, 2 takeaways, and there definitely could have been more on that. So it's going to be, I think it's going to be a hard-fought battle when it comes to the Broncos defense, but I think that you have the pieces to be able to do that. So that's what I'm definitely looking for. I think it's going to be all about the defense. All about the defense. I'm sorry. I know everyone's like, you never give your roses to the offense. I just think that the defense is going to be the key to them winning games in here out. So that's definitely going to be one I'm going to be paying attention to. And I'm going to be really, really hoping that PJ Locke is able to get back out there. You guys, obviously, only if it's safe for him, though. So getting into a few quick hits that we've got. Let's do it. So the first one, Draymond Green has been suspended indefinitely, you guys. This was something I did not see coming, but we definitely should have after he is swinging punches. And of course, Jokic gets ejected 2 nights ago. And so that's kind of one of the main things that I was paying attention to. But Draymond Green also got ejected. I want to give a huge props to Zach Bye because he went back and he looked at all of the suspensions for Draymond Green. You guys, this is absolutely ridiculous. It starts in 2016. He got suspended during the NBA Finals for the groin shot to LeBron James. 2018, he's been suspended. 2022, 2023, 2023, 2023, 2023. Like, it's just kind of gotten worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And I know that they're essentially coming out and saying, all right, Draymond, we need to get some help. So they're saying that he has to go essentially to therapy, whether that's going to be personally or like by the team. And that can kind of be looked at as a way as he can get back on the court. But suspended indefinitely, I did not see that one coming at all when it came to the NBA. But I like it. You have a player who's literally throwing punches, who's yelling at the ref constantly, 100%. Suspend him until he can figure it out because that's definitely needed. Now, the other one that's going to be a little interesting is the NFL owners have anonymously approved and awarded Super Bowl in February of 2025 to Los Angeles, which I'm kind of like, okay, or 2027, not 2025. Sorry, guys, 2027 to Los Angeles. And I'm kind of like, first of all, that's definitely a ways out there. But also, SoFi is beautiful. But like, what if the Denver Broncos would happen to have a new stadium by then? One that has a retractable, top. Like, could that come to Denver? I'm like, do we have to wait until 2020, 30 if that ends up happening? I don't know. But again, officially awarded to Los Angeles for February of 2027. So, I'm like, I don't know. Feels so far away, but yet I guess it's not that far considering we're about to enter into 2024. You guys, that's crazy to even think about. So, quick tips for you guys today. Nothing too crazy at all. Gonna check out some of your guys' comments too. Let's see. It's always been about the defense in Denver, 100%. I totally agree with that. Someone said, that's because you're a woman, Rachel, when it came to the birth of Russell Wilson. Yeah, but I also saw a lot of guys that were commenting on it too. You think Nikola Jokic is going to do that? So I don't think that's just because I'm a woman. I think it's because you want to see a family man. So, Rachel, last night was amazing. Okay, let's get into this Colorado Avalanche game, you guys, because there was a ton to talk about. So many emotions, too, that I absolutely loved seeing. But first, I'm going to let Richie Carni, because he was actually out there at the game, get to talk about it. And you can honestly just see, even with the smile on his face, you guys, that he had so much fun out at the game last night. Take a listen.
Man, did it feel like the Stanley Cup Avs tonight for more reasons than one. First off, Eric Johnson, EJ, back in the building, got a beautiful tribute from Gabe Landeskog and his daughter with a touching sign. The crowd was really into it during the pregame warm-ups. They played all the small things. I mean, come on. But outside of that, it really just felt like, especially offensively, they had that same identity that the Avs had back during their cup run all the way through the final. They were so relentless and aggressive. Val Nichushkin had 2 partial breakaways right at the start of the game to put shots on goal in the first 5 minutes. And at that point, it was like, he's going to poke one through. And not only did he poke one, he poked 2 through over the course of the 5-1 victory. So all in all, man, it was really just like a vintage Avs performance that we got so used to watching. They got up early, 3-0 in the first period, and they coasted. They survived that onslaught in the second period where they got severely outshot by Buffalo, but they were never really in any kind of danger. They kind of coasted, slowed up, and they knew it. And the fact is they could, and I think that's really encouraging. Sam Malinsky getting his first NHL goal was really cool to see. He was really excited. He thought he had what he thought was the game puck at the end of the night, and then it turned out that it wasn't, and he had to get handed the right one, which was pretty funny to see. But all in all, just a really, really fun, easy, memory-filled night at Ball Arena.
And here you can see the picture of Gabe Landeskog's daughter, obviously holding the sign that says, wrong jersey, but we love you, Uncle EJ. I think that this was so sweet. And he was so emotional, guys. You guys, he was emotional even yesterday before the game, like after morning skate in the locker room. I just think it was such like a special and such a touching way to, honor somebody that like Colorado kind of fell in love with. Like, EJ provided so much for this Colorado Avalanche team, and I just feel like it was so special too. And so I don't know, I just really loved that. And I guess we even have the video too, you guys, of him after the game and just talking about like how he didn't, like, it wasn't just for him, it was like saying thank you to essentially everybody else that was there. So we'll go ahead and play that.
Tried to soak it all in. Just felt numb all game. It was surreal. Didn't even Yeah, it was just a crazy experience, and kind of something I just wanted to get through. I wish the outcome was different for our team, but just coming back here was special, and I was grateful that I got the ovation I did from the crowd and fans and my teammates. So it was super special just to just get recognized, and also from my standpoint, just give thanks to everyone that supported me over the years. And as much as that ovation was about me, it was also about me wanting to say thanks to everyone as well.
It's so sweet for sure. And you guys, Ivan, the goaltender, Prosvetov, we can't ignore the fact that he is kind of playing lights out. You even just look at some of the stats that he's had of recently. It's hard to just not look at this. He's allowed 10 goals over his last 5 appearances, 4 starts. His save percentage is a .919. He's had 4 wins and 2 losses that he started. Like, he's looking pretty dang good out there. It's hard to just kind of ignore the fact that that's the truth. And also, I don't know if anybody else saw this. This was cracking me up. They had a video. So obviously he goes in Tuesday night versus Calgary, which I was at that game. And we were all like, are they going to make a change for it? This cracked me up. They said that they found him in the kitchen and he was getting a meat stick because he was like, when you don't play, all you do is really snack. And he's like, honestly, you get kind of big because that's all you're doing. You don't know if you're going to play. And so you're kind of bored and you just want to eat. And I'm like, how relatable is that? That we're all again, I eat popcorn constantly because I'm like, first of all, I'm a nervous eater. And I was just like, we relate. He eats meat sticks. I eat popcorn, but hey, we're all watching the exact same game and we just need something to snack on. So it just made me laugh that even though he is literally on the bench ready to go, he's still going and finding snacks. I think it's just, I don't know, so freaking funny. And then also, we have to talk about Nathan McKinnon, you guys. Holy smokes. Nathan McKinnon, what a freaking awesome dude he is. I know that just sounds so ridiculous to say. He reached 800 career points with 2 assists last night. He also extended his point streaks to 13 games, which is, I think it's almost top in the NHL right now. NFL, NHL, same thing. But I think it's almost number 1 in the NHL right now, which is just crazy to think. Nathan McKinnon has been playing lights out 100%. I told you guys on Tuesday after I watched, and because I was closer. When we sit in the press box up in for any of the games, we're way at the top. So you can't see facial expressions or anything like that. So when I was actually sitting down there because I had a ticket for Tuesday, you could see the fire in his face. And when something didn't go right, a pass didn't go right, he had a shot that came this close to making it in the goal, you could see literally the firepower in his eyes of oh my gosh, I'm so frustrated. We're getting so close and it's just not happening. It was just crazy to see up that close and personal because we don't get to see it that often. Nathan McKinnon has a goal, and that goal is to win another Stanley Cup. He clearly had so much fun during that cup run and partying that entire summer that he's like, we have to do it again, whether I put everybody on my back or not. Last night was a good game. Obviously, EJ even alluded to the fact that, it didn't look good for them in the Sabres, but at the end of the day, the Colorado Avalanche, I think they finally got their groove back yesterday, and it was great to see. It was fun to watch. They're getting, before Buffalo even had 1 shot on goal, the Avs had 3 goals already. Think about that. They were shooting lights out last night, and there was so much emotion out there. I saw one of the comments that said there was hardly any dry eyes in the stands watching the EJ thing, and I agree. I was so happy that I was able to watch it. Even just watching it on TV, it was an emotional thing. So there was so much to get into, and then I'm so happy that Gabe Landeskog is back in town. I know he's been back in town for a while now, but seeing the sign, it was just so sweet and so cute, and I think that his leadership is just, you can't replace it. And having somebody like him in the locker room, I think really provides so much for this Colorado Avalanche team, you guys. So I was really excited to see that. I just think that it was really fun and it was such a good game. And it's easy to say when you win 5-1, but honestly, it just seemed like this was the time that the Colorado Avalanche figured it back out. The chemistry was there. You've got passes that are, hitting each other's sticks and not going 2 inches in front of it. The passes were connecting. They looked really good. And again, Prosvetov, he's having a good thing. I'm kind of wondering if he continues, if we're going to be possibly seeing him more in net. Is he earning his spot as a potential starter? And Georgiev has struggled, and I don't think Jared Bednar will ever be somebody that'll just say, hey, you're done. Like, we're just moving you into the backup position. But I think that if he continues to struggle throughout the next month or the rest of this month, I definitely think we could see more of a split when it comes to that. So, Brosvitov, you're impressing me. Appreciate you, dude. Keep it going. I think it's been really fun to watch him too. And again, I'm glad he likes the meat sticks and he's snacking away during the games too when he's not out there playing. So, it was a lot of fun things. Also, Nichushkin gets his 100th NHL goal. After last season, we didn't know if we were going to see something like that happen, but it was great for him to notch that one in. He was kind of on fire last night, too. He's been relatively quiet. Also, can we please talk really quick? I wish I had the video of it, you guys, but Mikko Rantanen's goal last night was absolutely insane. First of all, the pass from McKinnon, beautiful. He goes around the back of the net and then just sticks it in. Oh my gosh, it was such a good goal. If you, after the show, please go watch it. It was such a great goal. And I was like, there's the Mikko Rantanen. He is fired up after the Arturi Lehkonen, his dad saying, he took the summer off, yada, yada. Mikko Rantanen is fired up, and I'm glad that he's back out there. I'm glad we're seeing some stuff from Val Nichushkin, Nathan McKinnon. Cale Makar looked, I don't know. He's still slightly struggling. You can just tell he's not 100% healthy, which is just a bummer because he's so good and you want to be able to see him out there time in and time out and be like, all right, here we go, Cale. Like, this is your time to shine. But plenty of other Avalanche last night were able to do good stuff. Oh, and then Sam Milowski. Congratulations on your first NHL goal, a snipe of a goal as well. It wasn't just one that like kind of popped in there. No, that was a well-deserved goal. And I know your dad and your uncle were out there watching. Your mom was watching on TV. So that was amazing. He also got his first assist and he was the first star of the game last night too. So there's been plenty of good things, you guys. I'm excited to have Cecil Lammey on the show tomorrow as well. Of course, we're going to dive a little bit more into the Detroit Lions, what that matchup. And Cecil thinks that the Broncos, we should be talking about them in the Super Bowl. Yeah, plenty of good stuff to get to. Make sure you come back 10:30 a.m. tomorrow morning for another episode of Coffee Break. Congratulations to the Colorado Avalanche on a great win last night. The Nuggets play tonight, 7 p.m. here in Denver. We'll be back. Richie Carni, I believe, will be going to the game, so he'll be giving you guys all the updates from down there too. So we'll see you guys tomorrow morning, 10:30 a.m. for another episode. Bye, everybody. Have a wonderful Thursday.